Alrighty, folks, I am so excited. I am so pumped. Let me turn this over here. Hello! Hello, my name is Voodoo Val, and welcome to the final challenge for the Ocean DCC and to Cosplay Day. I am a shark today. I don't know if you've noticed. I've got my shark outfit on. I've got fins on my arms. I've actually got a fin down my back, which is amazing. And I'm super excited to get into doing another ocean-themed challenge. I hope that any of you folks who decided to join me here for Cosplay Day, who maybe have a funny hat or a costume or anything like that, will post photos of yourself in the Discord. Which reminds me, if you'd like to join the Discord, all you have to do is come over to bit.ly/psdiscord. You want to make sure this P and S are capitalized so that you get into the right server. You can post your photos of awesome ocean outfits in there, and you can also post your challenge entries, get some help from mentors, and all of that good stuff. Valatek, yes. Baby shark, do, 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 do. I'm sorry, I know that you guys are probably sick and tired of that, but I had to do it at least once. You can't dress like a shark and not sing Baby Shark at least once. Ta-da! Yes, I know, we're gonna have a huge ta-da today. In fact, I am gonna try and jump into this like literally right now because I wanna make sure that we have as much time as we possibly can. The one thing I'm going to show you real quick is if you pop over to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, this is where you will be able to come in here and download the starter file that you will need for today. I have a huge starter file for you because we are going to do some pretty crazy animation stuff in Photoshop this morning, and I'm pumped. Last but not least, if you are over on the YouTube channel, please come over to behance.net/live because that is where I'm going to be reading the chat and where you can find more helpful resources and all that good stuff. So, hello Sam, Lynn, Steve, General Kenobi, hello there. I think I saw Steve in there, Frank, Stony, Norsh, Biolo, Tim, Ted. It is good to see all of you folks. Let's jump into it. Okay, so this is your Create Waves Challenge 9 starter file, and it's really, really pretty, and I'm super excited. I'm super excited about it. So, for this challenge, what we're going to do is be animating kind of a sea scene, a sea life scene. We're going to use some fish, we're going to use animate waves, we're going to do all kinds of stuff. Normally when I do these animation challenges, I only animate one or two things in the scene, but we are going to get busy today. We are going to animate a whole thing happening. You're adorable, Val. Thank you, Clarissa. I'm feeling a little chompy this morning. Feeling a little chompy, a little peckish. Nicholas, hello. Thank you so much, Davey. I'm glad you like the costume. Okay, so if you look over in your layers here to see what I have for you, you will find obviously the info thing here that says create an animated sea life scene using the timeline and render video panels. So you can hide that. You have all of your freebie creatures in here if you decide you want to use any of the reef manta, the giant manta, the devil ray manta, or the clownfish that I have previously given to you in the Discord. So those are in there if you want to incorporate those. You have a file that has fish on them. You have 5 wave files, a couple of shell files, and then I have some text and stuff here, plus a background. Now this is a lot of stuff to go through, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I animate each individual element, and then I'm going to Martha Stewart you and show you what it looks like if you combine all of those things together, because I'd love to show you folks how to make something that is more than just something blinking on and off or just dashing across a screen. I want to show you how to actually jump into the render panels and make something substantial that you can be really proud of. So here is how we're going to begin. All of these files, first of all, are positioned in the proper places for you to jump into the timeline and really start getting busy with them. So if you notice, if I click the fish layer here and I say Control or Command T, you'll notice that the fish layer is off canvas. You can leave it off canvas. If you want to do it exactly how I'm doing it today, leave it off canvas. You will also know that all of these wave files, wave 4, through 1. If I Control T or Command T that, you'll see that there is a whole bunch of file left hanging off the canvas. You want to leave that there because we are going to make it push onto the canvas, up onto the stream. And then another thing is there is a 5th wave. I'm going to press F on my keyboard, by the way, just to enter the next view of Photoshop so that I can see more and I can move my canvas up and down. If you transform 5, you'll see 5 is completely off of the screen. And then you will notice that with these shells, if I hide the first shell, some of the shells are missing from the second layer because we're going to make some of them disappear and all that good stuff. And then I have some create waves stuff. We got a text file that says like by Voodoo Val and all of this good stuff. So I'm going to go up to Window and Timeline, and I'm going to open up my timeline. I'm going to drag this down here because it's on my other window. And I should be able to just hover it right there if it will. There we go. And I'm going to pull it down just like this. And maybe I'll pull it out. Oops, I did not want to add a text layer. I wanted to see if I could drag that, but that's fine. Then I'm going to actually bump myself over onto this side of the screen. I'm hoping. No, you know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to transform myself, and I'm going to put myself right up here because there's a lot going on today and I want you to see the entire layers and the timeline panel. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we are going to say create video timeline. If when you go to your timeline panel, if you don't see create video timeline, what's probably happening is you need to click from this drop down menu because you might have create frame animation selected. So we're gonna go ahead and say create video timeline. And then if you look in here, you'll be able to see a lot of things. This is like a duplicate of all of your layers that you have over here in your layer panel, but down here where you can really get in and edit them. So the first thing we're going to do, my plan for this is that we're going to have these waves roll up like a rolling tide. We're going to have them go up and down, and we're going to have all of the different wave layers kind of go up and down in different intervals so that they kind of stagger and really give that tide kind of vibe. And what I'd like to have them do is when they go up, you can start seeing fish appear in the deep end, and when they come down, they'll disappear, and the create waves have kind of made it look like it's maybe sketched into the sand. The create waves will be gone, and then it will reappear on the sand with some other text. So I know that is a lot, but here I'm going to show you how to do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is select my wave 1 file, okay? And I'm going to transform this into like kind of show how I can move it up and down. And it's actually very easy to do this. So all you have to do is select your wave file, and we know that we want to stop it here, like we want it to start in this animation exactly where it's at. So I'm just going to hit that transform button right there, and you can see it adds a keyframe. Then what I can do is I'm going to bump it about 5 segment spaces forward. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to drop my little scrubby here. I'm going to Control T, and I'm going to bump my waves right up here above the create waves, like so, okay? And then I'm gonna hit enter. And you can see when I hit enter, it adds a keyframe here for me. And then I want it to move back down. So I'm gonna grab this scrubber again, and I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to kind of bring that down to the very, very end. Control T or Command T to transform it, and I'm gonna bring it right back down to where it was before, okay? And then I'm gonna hit enter. All right, and it adds another one for me. So now if we come back all the way to the beginning and press space to play this, or you can press play on your playhead over here, you can see what it actually does. So it lifts up, 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 and then it goes down, okay? This is really cool. Now, we want this to happen again. We want to do this with the other waves. So what we want to do is do it the same, but at a shorter interval. We want to stagger them because we want the first wave to go up, and then the second, and then the third, and then the fourth and fifth. So what we're going to do is the same thing. Over here on wave 2, I'll select wave 2. I'm going to open this caret menu. We're going to do the same thing, except while we started the first wave here, we're going to start the second one here, okay? We're going to go ahead and press transform. Then we're going to move our little playhead indicator here, Control T or Command T. We're gonna bump this up and I'm gonna stagger it like that so it really kind of breaks the border of that. Hit enter and it adds our keyframe here. Oops, actually not Control T yet. We wanna move our scrubber over here like so. Boom. And Control T or Command T to transform. And we are going to bump this back down to about there, I think. Boom. And hit enter. All right. Now let's see what we got. So that one and then that one begins. So now both of them are going up, 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 and then they've reached the bottom. And then boom, they kind of split and they do it. So it's kind of rendered. There we go. So you can see they're kind of doing it at, at different intervals. So I'm going to do this quickly for the next 3. All right. So let me open my caret menu. Boom. And I'm going to start it at the 3rd, and I'm using these little guide marks up top here, okay? I'm using these guides at the top to kind of judge how far apart I'm going to stagger these. So I'm going to add a transform. I'm going to bump this to the center here, and it does snap a little bit, kind of like using grids, so it should be relatively easy for you, so you don't lose your place. I'm going to bring it up to there, enter, add my next little playhead, and then I'm going to scrub over to this 3rd zone here, and I am going to Control or Command T and bring this back down to the bottom. Boom. Hit enter, and then I'm going to do it to wave 4 as well, and wave 4 is going to be staggered from here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add our transform, and then we're going to scrub to the middle. Okay, Control T. Let me kind of bring this back up here. We're gonna drag that up, 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 like so. Hit enter to add our keyframe, and then I'm gonna scrub back here. Boom. Control T, and I'm gonna bring this back to the bottom. Okay. Enter. All right, now let's check this out. Let's see what we got. It's gonna render. It's gonna give us a render time real quick. But let's see, I'm trying to make sure that we don't have, we don't run out of time here. Boom, 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 boom. So we have an actual tide, the tide rolling in now, okay? So now it's gonna be a little bit smoother and you can see how it just kind of rolls in. Okay, now the next thing I want to do, something I've actually never showed you folks before with the video timeline, is we're going to do the same thing, adding keyframes, but we're going to add keyframes with opacity instead of transforming things. And this is equally easy to do. Also, one thing I do want to point out big time with this here, if I extend these, you can very easily kind of see where you're supposed to put the keyframes. If you actually look at it, it kind of makes like a little triangle shape here. So if you're kind of at a loss and you're wondering where I'm supposed to be putting my keyframes, you can always come in and just kind of look at it like that and see if it matches mine. All right, so let's come into our create waves text, shall we? I'm gonna close these waves. All right, I'm gonna close those up and I'm gonna scroll through. Oh, we do have a 5th wave. Hold on, we have a 5th wave. My bad. So the 5th wave is actually gonna come in on the 4th, on the 4th, the 5th one is going to come in right here. So let me add our keyframe for our 5th wave, and I'm going to do transform. I'm going to go like this, scrub to the middle, Control T, and I'm going to bump that. And this one's only going to come into the center. I just want it to show some deeper water rolling in. Enter, and then scrub here, Control T, and bring it right back off canvas. Boom. So we'll have that. Now let's do the opacity keyframe, shall we? I'm trying to keep this. I keep scrolling with my mouse scroller, and it's scrolling my canvas up, and I'm trying to make sure you folks can see everything properly. Okay, so one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna see if I can remove one of these and see if this allows me to kind of bring this over here a little bit. Nope. Okay. All right. So let's go to our create wave. So this is our text file, I'm going to open the caret menu here, and now we're going to do this with opacity. So we want for the create waves to have disappeared after the water rolls over the top of it, and then for it to reappear after the water goes back down. So it's like the waves kind of washed it away, and then it's a little bit shallower now. So what we're going to do is, first of all, I'm going to open my panel just so that I can really visualize like where that center point is. So I know this is my center where everything kind of resets and goes in the opposite direction. I'm maybe going to make this a little taller since we just need to see the create waves right now. And I'm going to add an opacity thing here. So what I want is for the moment, I'm finding the moment that it is completely covered by waves, which is right here. And I'm going to add an opacity keyframe right there. And then what I want is by the time it gets to the center point to be completely invisible. Literally all I have to do is go over to my layers, hit opacity, and turn it all the way down. Okay. And then it will, you know, that's what it'll do. So it'll be gone by the time I open up here. But what I want to do is for it to be gone after the waves leave, and then for it to start appearing again. Okay, so I'm gonna maybe add like right here, I want to add another opacity keyframe like so, with it still down to 0, but then by the time the video gets to about here, I want it to start appearing again. Okay, I want it to just kind of start fading back in by about this point. So I'm going to turn the opacity up to 100 yet again, and it adds a new keyframe for me. So then we get something that looks like this. Let's scroll down so we can see our full video here. So the waves, it is rendering, so it's going to be a little stuttery for right now. So the waves go up, and then, yeah. Can this be viewed again for reference? Yes, absolutely. This is kind of a hefty challenge, so feel free to come back and check out the replay after we're done with this on YouTube or here on Behance. It'll be down below the video player. So now we have our waves rolling in, and you know what? It might actually be kind of disappearing some of our, is it disappearing some of our shells? Yeah, it was. Let's see what we can do here, because I don't really want I do want the shells to disappear. Oops. I do want the shells to disappear. I just didn't want them to disappear just yet. So let's see what's going on with that. Yeah, like right about here. I wonder why that is. Let me open my shells. I shouldn't have any keyframes on my shells. So sometimes what you might find, at least this is what I do when I run into an issue where something in my file is disappearing for some reason, and I'm not exactly sure why. Well, actually, I kind of wanted them to be, the shells to be there, and then when the water came down, it was like the water pulled some of them. So that kind of does what I want it to. But if you ever want to like kind of reset a layer and make sure it doesn't have anything attached to it, what I actually do is I come over here and I rasterize a layer, and then I recreate it into a smart object. And as you can see, if I add, like, I'm just going to add a transform keyframe here. If I come over to shells 2 and I rasterize the layer, you can see that it just removes everything. Convert it back to smart object, and it's almost like it's reset. So I am also gonna do the shells now too, and we've got like 6 minutes. So I am going to make it so that when I scroll forward, everything is fine. I don't know why that shell is disappearing. I'm really not certain. Maybe I'll just hide this for now. I might just leave the shells as is because I don't want, maybe it's this, maybe it's that one. It might have been the other one. Okay, let me reset the other one as well. Rasterize and convert to smart object. Let's see, I shouldn't have that. Nope, I don't have the issue anymore. Okay, cool. So I've kind of reset them. Now I'm gonna bump this up just so we can just see our shells, and I'm gonna pull this up past the waves here. So what I'm gonna do is, as this goes up, we're gonna have all of our shells, and then as this is kind of the point where it's all covered, and then when it comes back down, the opacity is going to change. So right here, the opacity for shells 2, which is the shells with all of the extra stuff, I believe. If I come down here, I'm just gonna hide and make sure. No, that's the shells with everything. Okay, so we want shells 2 to remain visible. So I'm gonna put shells 1 above it. And we're gonna open that little caret menu, and I'm gonna close the shells 2 caret menu. So by the time it gets to here, I want it like it's gonna be at 100% opacity, so I'm gonna put an opacity keyframe, and then by the time it gets to here, I want it to have disappeared. So I'm going to change the opacity to 0, and it adds another keyframe for me. So then we have it, have them visible, and then it goes up, and then it comes down, and there's some missing. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add our fish. Do we have time? Yes, we have time to add our fish. So let's add our fish. I'm gonna scroll down to our fish layer. We should have a fish layer right here. Let me bump this down just a tad. So we are going to make it look like the fish kind of roll in with the tide, okay? And this is our fish layer. Let me unhide our fish. So we want the fish to start coming in with this third, I almost just pointed up my screen for you, this third wave, okay? So that third wave starts moving here on that second little group that we have. So I'm gonna open the fish, and I'm gonna start a transform keyframe, and then I am going to scrub to the center, and I'm going to Control T, and we're gonna bump this up and just have it kind of move up. There's all of our little fish, and I'm gonna say enter, and then by the time we scrub back down, even on the other side, I will add another free transform, and we're just gonna disappear that right back down under the canvas, okay? Now let's check it out and see what we've got. Boom, so we got our fish kind of coming with us, and they just kind of like, you know, like they're just kind of appearing. You can do something a little different with this if you want, but I did really want to add just some kind of fish, just texture, some kind of fish pattern or something kind of coming in. And then what I also wanted to have is for it to appear with the project by Voodoo Val at the bottom, because perhaps you're using this for a project header or something of the like. So what we can do is say, let me pause this real quick. I believe I have a project by Voodoo Val layer. Yes, I do. And I'm gonna come down here, and I'm just gonna throw an opacity marker on that as well. Project by Voodoo Val. Here we go. All right, so it's going to be invisible until the middle point when we will make it appear. So I will put an opacity marker here. And then I will scrub to, actually, we're gonna make this invisible until, let me open it again, where I just did a Control T and it collapsed it down. We're gonna make it invisible actually until here. Maybe more like here, okay? So I'm gonna put an opacity keyframe there, and then by the end, maybe by about here, we want it to be visible. So I'm going to change the opacity. The opacity of it is down to 0 in your starter file, so if you're not seeing it, that is why. So I'm gonna put it right there, and then let's preview it. So our waves go up, our fish come up, okay, that's kind of cool, and then our tide rolls in, our fish go down, and Project by Voodoo Val arrive, or like kind of just appears, which is really cool. All right, so we've done a whole thing, and then the last thing I want to do, I have a minute left and I need to stop, I don't want to get cut off. The last thing that you need to do in order to export this is simply go up to File, Export, Render Video, and once you hit the Render Video button, it will bring you to here where you can just save it to the file, and you will have yourself a video, an MP4 video file. Ta-da! That is all the time I have for you. I have to go before I get cut off because I really don't want to get cut off, but thank you so much for joining me. I hope you love this challenge, and I will see you another time. Adios, folks.